We're live! Yay! So I finally found Old Willunga Hill. If you were on my stream, you're on my stream last time. This is the route that I had planned to do, and I couldn't because I couldn't find it because I was looking on the wrong spot. So I found it finally, and these red spots make it look pretty heinous. So we're gonna see. We're gonna do real world elevation, which is 100%. You can like minimize that if you want, but it says 60 minutes or less. I think at my FTP, it'll be around 30, but I'll probably be below FTP most of the time, so probably looking at 45, maybe even close to an hour. We'll go ahead and start. And we're loading France, as you do. Got some reports of an audio echo last time on the stream. I checked it out. I can't really find anything pointing to why that might have been happening. So, sorry. So in Zwift, we have these things called climb portals that we're about to enter one. Um, what they do is they sort of simulate a real world climb in the Zwift world, but not in a realistic, scenic way like here. And you'll see, in fact, if you look at the thumbnail of the video, you'll see an example. You'll see here as we come up to it what I'm talking about. Beautiful ride through the French countryside on a Sunday afternoon. I went for a run yesterday, and it was awful. I just did like 2 miles. I was gonna go longer, but just the wind was crazy. And so I start my loop, and I get to this point where I'm running up a street, and I'm just getting headwind like crazy, right? So when I come across the road, I turn right, and then the wind shifts, and I get another headwind. It was ridiculous. That's why we Swift in the wintertime, because there's no wind. You can't get views like this right here, right now where I live. So I have a 5K next Saturday, and I have another 5K a week after that, and I'm gonna have a week off, and then another 5K. So the next 4 weeks, I'll run three 5Ks. Let's see. Have a way. Pulling up the chat. Notes. YouTube live. That's the one. Ah, wants me to sign in. I can't do that. Says YouTube isn't receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming, so there may be issues on the YouTube uplink. I'll have to investigate that before next time. Okay, here we go. This is uh Yikes. This is one of these climb worlds that I mentioned. This is Old Willunga Hill. I don't know anything about it other than it's in South Australia. So what they do, you can see along the side, actually my face might be covering part of it. Let me this over here. So actually, in this video, I think down the line might work. Okay, so what you're seeing along the left side is so where you see portal sections, it says 9 and then 4.1. 4.1 is the average grade of this particular hill segment. 116 is my average heart rate for that segment. 230, my average wattage of the segment. And then to the bottom, you'll see overall progress. And it looks like it's broken into 10 segments. I think maybe they all are. I've done 3. I think they've all done like 10 segments each. It says the ETA is 2542. Feel good about that. But I'm also not looking to kick ass today. Just wanted a fun short hill climb. So I may not like push it to the limit, you know. I may start easing up a little bit. In fact, my ETA is already changing. So on the right side, you can see the specifics about the climb itself. First, the color change represents steepness. So the darker it goes from yellow to orange to red, the steeper it goes. And so these are, from what I've read, these are designed to mimic the physical experience of climbing this real world hill, but it does it in this sort of virtualized looking environment, which I was a little surprised by the first time I saw it. It's my first 100 feet of elevation. I was a little surprised by it the first time I saw it, but I got used to it. I think it's kind of fun. I've been making an effort this year of trying to do more climbs on bikes, both in the real world and in this, um, to varying degrees of success. So, if you're new, this is the first one of these you're watching, and you don't know anything about Zwift. I am riding on a real bicycle. This is a Strava Journeyman. Sorry, shoot, a Salsa Journeyman. I got Strava on the brain. Salsa Journeyman connected to a Garmin TAC-X wheel-on trainer. As I pedal my wheels, it is read. The rotation is read by the trainer, and the trainer translates that into speed and power. I also have a sensor on my wheel, on my pedal crank, that's measuring cadence. My cadence is up on the screen, 67, 68 right now. And I have a heart rate monitor on. And that's how this thing knows both how hard I'm working and how fast my pedals are moving and how hard how my body is doing. So as I'm moving uphill, I'm getting resistance from the trainer, which makes it harder to pedal. And it's doing math in the back end to translate that into real power on the screen. You can, I've heard of people cheating by saying that they weigh less than they really do, or by, like, I don't know, I guess there's various things that you can do to bypass all this, but I don't understand why. Someone said, how do I put it? It was on Reddit. Some guy was like, well, they cheat so they can get to higher level bikes, and then they'll sell the account. And I thought, like, I barely like paying for Zwift itself. Why am I going to pay more to some guy to get me like a slightly better bike? So there's 100 levels total. There used to be 60, I think. When it was, I jumped up levels because of the way they made some changes. So I'm at 20 now. I think I was at 8 when I started the year. Started back in December again. I only have the one bike, so I tend to put it on the trainer in the winter and then take it off in the spring. So on the screen, on the left side at the top, 245, 244, that is my wattage. So that's how much power I'm pushing out. The number below that, currently 66, 70, 71 RPM, that is cadence of my pedals. And then 127 is heart rate. In the middle of the screen, I'm currently going 5 miles an hour. I've gone 1.7 miles, 268 feet of elevation. I've been riding for a little over 11 minutes. And that number in blue there, or white in the blue field, that is my total amount of time on this segment. And it's also showing me what the first place is, as if I had a chance. So if you're trying to follow along, that's what all that stuff means. At least that's all the stuff that's important ride to ride. You get these bonuses, like that green circle with a feather in it, and I've used them on these climbs before. I see coming up that there's a higher grade, so I think I'm going to wait and use that bonus during the higher grade section. Maybe it'll make it a little easier. Oh. So yeah, it's cheating at Zwift. It seems crazy to me. But I don't know, I guess people will cheat at anything. I find it strange to think of this as a game. I mean, I know it's a game, but like, I don't know. It's hard to compute that sometimes. Every time I go live on YouTube and it asks what category this is, I put it in. I don't like to, but I put it in gaming mostly because of the algorithm, and it like lets me select the game, so I know that it'll make it easier if people are looking for Zwift rides that they can find it easier. But like, I don't know. It still seems strange. So I have, I think 5 more, maybe 6 more 5Ks or short races at least. I think some of them are like 4 milers planned for the next few months. I don't have anything after March. So I think I need to start filling out my schedule and seeing what's up, what I might want to get into. On top of those, I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 other races that I'll sign up for because they're like the ones I do every year. So uh, I'd like to be able to finish with like 20 races this year. I think this last year I did 10 or 12. So I don't know, maybe 15 is a better target. All right, I'm going to use the bonus featherweight, which, if I remember right, it lowers from a software standpoint, it lowers my body weight so that I end up producing more wattage as I go. And yeah, you can see the wattage jumping up to 260 something. Still up there. This is a short one, but it's rough. Like there's no I've yet to really hit a an easy spot. Like some of these that I've done, it'll go from yellow to orange to red, then back to orange and back to yellow for a bit. This one, no. It's got you powering all the way through. Short but intense. I've gone through the worst of it though. I've only got 404 feet of elevation left. So I'm more than, from an elevation standpoint, I'm more than halfway up. From a segment standpoint, a time standpoint, I think I'm a little behind. Actually, looks like based on time, I'm a little more than halfway up as well. But finishing the fifth segment, which currently close to being finished, is that should be my halfway point segment wise. Is anything in the chat? Oh, now it says I have an excellent connection, and I have no viewers, so that's cool. That's how you stay hungry. Watch out. So I'm sweating into the band, and it's not doing me any good. Uh, small. So I have water, and I also have electrolytes here. This is Element Orange Salt. It's my current favorite. I like it because you can really taste the salt. It doesn't taste like a soft drink. Not that that's always bad, but all right, I'm currently averaging 2 watts per kilogram at 250 watts. 248 watts, whatever. So I guess that means I weigh about 120 kilograms. I'm currently at about 280. I haven't weighed myself a little bit. That's on me. A friend of mine said to me, I work out more than anyone else she knows. And I said, it goes to show that you can't outrun your fork, man. If you want to lose the weight, you got to fix your eating, which means for me, it's more about fixing my relationship with food. Because I am a stress eater, I am a boredom eater, and I tend to want to stay up later than I should. So those things all affect my ability to stay on diet targets. But, knowing is half the battle. I'm getting there. What's funny, at one point I was as low as 230, and as I gained some of the weight back, I was feeling really down about myself. And I wouldn't admit it. Like, I wouldn't talk to people about my weight because it like felt like a failure, right? And as I've gotten like farther in, the more I've sort of started to ditch some of that thinking and be a little more, I don't want to say positive about it, but like solution oriented rather than problem oriented, I guess. Uh, Shoot. All right, headed to the end of segment 3. Actually, the way this thing counts is funny. It's technically the end of the 4th segment because the I'm about to start segment 3 is the way to think about it. I I did Alp through Zwift, and it doesn't measure segments like this, but it measures your distance from from one bend to the other because it's a series of switchbacks. And so, but here's the thing: one isn't the top, one is the first bend from the top. So I'm looking at my thing; it's getting closer and closer to one the whole time, and I'm psyched because I didn't even know if I was going to be able to finish. And so I finally get to that. I think I got to like 2, and I started doing the math. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I got a whole like half mile to go after I hit 1. And sure enough, it's like this, where like 1 is going to be the last thing before the goal. Like I went through 3 fairly quickly there. Or I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. Listen. Really happy that my heart rate is staying low. 140, 141 is usually in running. That's what I would call zone 2. To be able to stay below that, from a running standpoint, this would be a recovery. From a cycling standpoint, it's a little different. They have a lot more zones, and I don't know what it all means yet. And I'm not racing, so I'm not that worried about it. I'm just doing this to improve my cardiac strength. I would like to try a bike race this year, preferably like gravel or gravel cross type of deal, like gravel with some asphalt. I have a gravel bike, that's what I want, or it's a hybrid, but it's not really set up for racing so much. I've got flat bars on it, so it has the look of a mountain bike almost. Um, Except it doesn't have suspension or anything like that. A few more months to go. But yeah, I'd like to try a race. I I'm not thinking that I'm gonna do well, but I know around running, like racing is fun. Like it doesn't even matter how well I'm doing, but the whole atmosphere is just a blast, you know? You're around a bunch of other people. I'm gonna hit this before I have to waste it. You're around a bunch of other people. They're all having fun. Running is super supportive. I have friends who run far better than I do, and they're always like cheering me on, giving me support, and I love that. Yes, because I'll finish. I'm gonna guess 24:05. Actually, maybe 24:02. What might end up being my number? 3 feet are climbing to go. Either way, I should finish 26th. 23:59, 26. All right, so we'll do the ride down. If anyone hasn't done Zwift and wants to start, I always recommend doing these rides down because it gives you time to let your legs cool off a bit, gives you time to rest while still getting fun speeds. And to be frank, like Zwift levels, you gain a level every mile, or not a level, you gain experience for every mile you ride. on each run. So, especially if you're on the cusp, it would be, yeah, there I go. It would be dumb to stop at like 3.9 miles, even if it was something hard. So you can see the heart rate. It was up in the high 150s. Now it's down to 131, 132. Really gives you a chance to cool down. And then you can, if I was a masochist, I could start the ride over. But I'm not going to do that. I might ride around France a little bit. Maybe try to get another mile or two in. Now, sometimes I quit at the bottom of these. Sometimes you just don't want to keep going. Sometimes you have to get up a little bit and let the blood flow back into your butt. Something that in road riding you can get away with a little more than this. Although I'm going downhill, so not going to slow me down too much. You can't really brake. Like I could stop my bike, and then I could hit the brakes, and it will stop the back wheel. But because I'm on a hill, it's going to just keep moving down. So I like to pedal the whole way down, just because like I know my avatar is doing something. So if he's doing something and I'm getting credit for it, I should probably be actually doing some work, right? Cities are a lot of fun. As I've been trying to get more into, I'm not sure which direction we can go. We can really see the bottom of that. That looks pretty. We'll go there. Uh, as I've been trying to improve my ability to ride on hills more, I've been seeking those out. And the first one I rode was like 1,200 feet, I think, of elevation. It was a little more forgiving at points. It wasn't as intense all the way, right? Like it would get intense and then it would ease off a little. But that one was like straight up. I did. I don't remember the first one's name. It was something in French. I did Old Willunga, which is out in California, and now this one, and I've done Alpe d'Huez. So that's four like major climbs in the game. I'm gonna give myself about a month of doing at least one of these a week, maybe two a week, and then try Alpe d'Huez again towards the end of February. Might do a live stream for that one. It'll be like a 2-hour stream though, so it might involve a lot of cussing. Someone about virtual reality, like is there a version of this? And it said no, and then it's funny, like you want to try something and everyone tells you like why it would be a bad idea. Like, yeah, I can come up with 1,000 reasons why it might be a bad idea, but I still want to try it. You know, like if there's a way you could do this in virtual reality, I've got an Oculus, so that would be cool. But sadly, it's not a thing yet. I did find a trainer in Oculus, but it doesn't hook to the trainer. It only hooks to um, my cadence meter. So I feel like that would be more for fun than anything else. I don't know, maybe that's the thing to look at. I'll have to see how much that costs, see if it's worth giving it a shot. I mean, when people give the reasons that it might be a bad idea, I get it. Like, putting on a VR helmet and doing anything means that you're throwing your body into the state where visually you think you're moving, but the inner ear knows that you're not, and it can cause vertigo. Um, so I get it, and I think that there would probably be better um, devices that are better for it than others. Like um, I know Wahoo makes a whole Zwift bike that uh, will it has the ability to like raise and lower, so you can you can experience going uphill, going downhill. Like that might help things a little more. I'm not wearing clip ends or anything like that. I've just got flats on this, so I can come off fairly easily if I need to. Um, but yeah, like I just think it'd be fun. Give it a shot, right? Also, like sweating into that thing is probably not going to be great. I had the first VR unit I had was the PSVR for the PlayStation 4, and it would get so hot in my living room sometimes that I'd be able to play. I'd like hop on Beat Saber and I'd be able to play for a while, then I'd have to stop. But what I actually found was if I do that enough, the VR device itself, the heat that it generates would somewhat equalize with the heat of my body. It's just you gotta play a few uncomfortable rounds where your lenses are fogging up before that happens. I rarely have that happen with the Oculus. Might be, I'm not in the same place, so might just be better ventilation, better air conditioning, something like that. So I think we'll do 10 miles. So I'll do a couple more miles and then call it a day. I originally, like about a month ago, I set a goal on this thing to do like 100 miles a week, and I've never hit that. I am splitting time between running and cycling. I tend to do, I'd say, 2.5 hours a week. So measuring in time, I'm getting a lot of time in, but not necessarily a ton of distance. And that might be bad. It may be that I'm like, I do have a tendency on this thing to go harder than I probably should all the time. Like I try to, there are some days where I'll join a like a pacer group that advertises itself as being like 1.4 watts per kilogram, and I'll try to stick with that in order to get some uh like low impact miles in, because I have this tendency to like go too hard a lot of the time. There's a more so I think than when I'm riding on the road. Like I have a tendency for like to feel more pain in my butt. So, and I think it's because there are sort of natural points where when I'm riding on the road, I'll either stand up on the pedals or I'll um, just like stand up going downhill or something like that, or even just coast on the flats. Whereas on this, I tend not to do that so much. But maybe I should. Maybe we'll coast a little bit. We're on a 0% grade, so you can get away with it a bit. It really is a fun game, and it's pretty. Like it's nice to ride through like this kind of environment. In Watopia, there's all kinds of cool stuff. They've got dinosaurs in one section. You ride around ancient temples. The couple of streams ago, I did the volcano loop. So um, there's an achievement where you have to ride the volcano loop 5 times. So I did that. Um, yeah, riding through an active volcano, that's kind of fun. Oh, wow, that 8th mile went quick. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll go longer. Who knows? I'll either stop at 10 or I'll keep going and just stop whatever the hell I want. A lot of times I'll hop on here and just pick a route that I haven't done yet or that I at least don't have a 90-day PR on, and I'll just do that. From a gaming perspective, you do get you do get uh, XP for completing different routes, and you get like little achievements and stuff. So you can buy bikes in the game. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know how effective changing the bikes is. Like, I don't feel like I'm having to do less work. And I also don't know how much my bike is like hindering the ability, because this isn't like a super advanced. I think this bike on its typical when it first came out, it would have been about $1,000. I got it for 600, I believe, because they were discontinuing this particular set and changing the sizes. So I got it a little cheap. So it's not a high-end bike by any means. So it could be that there's something in like my gear set or something that's limiting my ability to. But I don't care. I enjoy it. It's there's a I have a tendency to always want to get like the next thing. And I feel like this year is the first year that even though I can find fault in just about every piece of technology that I'm using for training, that I'm not really blaming the technology. I'm just I'm pretty well happy with what I have. Um, I was using last year around this time. I was using a Fitbit to monitor progress, and then I bumped up to a Garmin Fenix 6, and that's been great. Um, I still love this bike. I thought about buying another bike, but not replacing this one so much as just having a second bike. There's an old saying that the proper number of bikes to own is n plus one, where n equals the current number of bikes that you own. So I like to follow that little missive. So this section is probably what I needed. I probably needed a little bit more like low heart rate, low, like low impact, just a little more of this. So it's nice to do this for a few miles after a bigger ride. There's probably people that are much better trained than I am that will criticize everything I just said. Not criticize so much as like from their perspective, like I'm not doing a lot. But that's all a matter of perspective. I know people that train for, you know, 10 hours a week, 12 hours a week, 15 hours a week for running or for cycling. And I'm trying to work my way up to that. In the past, I've made the mistake of doing too much too soon. And then I end up with a week where I'm not really doing anything at all. Because I just can't, I am not pushing this. These are the kind of things in Swift that get me in trouble. The things where it'll be like, if you push a little harder, you might be able to get a better time. It's just like, yeah, but probably shouldn't be pushing super hard right now. But anyway, I've done a really great job, I think, of like working my way up. Probably for the I'm gonna jinx myself, I know it. Probably for the past 6 weeks. And what I've been using is I have obviously have a Strava account, and I have a premium account, so I use their little they've got a little meter that gives you a sort of target, like if you're looking to rest for a week, this is where you should be. If you're looking to maintain, this is where you should be. And then there's a red zone where, like, if you go over, it'll kind of warn you about you may be working too hard. And so I've been working to keep myself out of that red zone. Like, because what usually happens is I'll bump up really high into the red for a few weeks, maybe 2, maybe 3, and then something will happen, and I'll be out for a week. So I've done a good job these past, I think, about 6 weeks now. If I do bump into the red, it's just barely, and I can maintain that. Next week, I may go a little easy. I do have a race on Saturday, so I might not push super hard next week and try to keep it all in the lower range so that when I come into the race, I'm fairly fresh. And that way the race won't push me up into that warning zone. But we'll see. These winter races, I haven't been running them so much to get better as I have been to just maintain, because I think just about any runner who lives in a semi-cold climate can say running in the cold can suck. So I've been keeping it like fairly chill, not working super hard. I think the last 5K I did, my average heart rate was like 135. So it told me that I ran a 5K at resting pace. And the fact that it wasn't super slow, my time, it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was like 6 minutes off my PR, I think. So that felt good, actually, knowing that even not pushing too hard, I'm not. Um, I mean, 6 minutes is a lot in 5Ks, but still, it still felt good. So now we're pushing into some harder territory. I'm just going to down. If I'm streaming next week, it won't be over the weekend. It'll be throughout the week, and it will likely be easy rides. Um, Probably doing pacer rides at really easy paces. For one big running workout, I'm thinking I might do some, since it's so goddamn cold outside, do some like treadmill sprints or something like that. Um, I've been neglecting those higher end anaerobic workouts. I won't say neglecting. I'm trying to hit them on the bike, and it's not nearly as easy to hit those on the bike without without pushing everything else super high. So trying to find that balance has been a little rough. It's having so much more fun without the hill. So this is my I would say this is around comfort cadence for me. Like 80 to 95, I'd say is about where I try to keep my cadence. And that goes for outside as well. I think I'm gonna say, well, I don't know. It's gonna say stop at 12, but I feel like I might as well just go the full hour, right? Speaking of games, this is a game. For Christmas, I got my son and myself Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 5. It was a lot of fun. In fact, it was so much fun that I started to go back and play the first game again. I wasn't, I sort of thought about it. I originally decided not to, and then a friend texted me and said he was playing through the whole thing for the first time and had just finished the first one. So I thought, that sounds like fun. So I'll probably play all three of them again in sequence. Hopefully, by the time I get back to Spider-Man 2, they will have added New Game Plus mode because I'm really missing that. Still getting occasional errors saying that the stream is not, that there's not enough data or whatever. The stream, that's weird. Like I said, I'm going to have to look into that. I do have a kid at home who's probably playing some online games, so that could be it. Time I ever tried to do on Zwift was over a year ago, and I didn't know what I was getting into. It was in France, and I just started up this hill, and at about halfway up, I was like, man, I can't, I just can't do this. So getting up out this Zwift last week felt like a really big deal to me. In fact, all of these climbs that I do have been feeling like it makes me feel really good. I might be slow at them, but yeah, I can still hammer it out, right? Yikes. That I probably won't make it all the way up. I think I'm gonna cut this off in about an hour. It's another segment. I'm feeling so it's probably much longer than 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever. Yeah, it's not even showing me what the top time is. That's usually not a good start. Is that gravestone? What kind of marker? Controllers now for Swift. If you have drop bars, you can put these controllers on. Use buttons. One of the things that allows you to do is steer. And when you're on high speeds, in real life, the steering is the scary part. Because I don't know, that's where you can go out of control. Have your tires skid out on you or something. Really, I've never had any. Actually, I take that back. I have uh, one small wreck. I was riding with a group of friends, and my seat post collapsed on me, and I lost control basically, and went into a ditch, and fell off the bike. I don't ride with clips, so I didn't have to worry about unclipping myself. But I did have to ride for like mile and a half, maybe more. It's closer to 3 miles. With At first I tried to just ride low, right? But that just wasn't doing it. So I ended up pulling one of these like screws that they put into the bike to let you know, like, hey, you can mount a water bottle here or whatever. I pulled one of those out and tried to use it, and it would work somewhat, but then it would slide down because it wasn't quite long enough. And then so I rode for about somewhere between 1 and 3 miles. I can't remember. It's been a while. And then we hit town, and there was a bike shop that I was able to get a new bolt. The place didn't even charge me. It was off. All right, well, we're rolling on to an hour here. I want to say thanks to anyone who's streamed with me or anyone who's watched this outside of the stream. You can like the video, comment if you have anything to say, or just leave a comment saying, hey, what's up? Because every little bit of that helps. Um, you hit the little bell icon. I think it'll let you know when I'm scheduling uh, a new ride, which these usually happen with a couple hours notice, maybe a day's notice, depends. So yeah, you can do that.